Today on Unscripted, I'm sitting down with Kyle Warren, media manager for Adventist Review, not just to talk about how he ended up at the Review, but he and I went together to PNG and saw something that would blow your mind, absolutely blow your mind. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Unscripted, top drawer television, streaming from the good people at the Adventist Review. I'm Shawn Boonstra, and this is Kyle Warren, who is also at the Review. And Kyle, you and I have worked together for
about 10 years now.
About 10 years, not at the Review. We're both brand new around the Review. What was your path to the Adventist Review?
So, Shawn...
and what do you do? What do you do for us?
Yeah, so right here at the Review, I am the media manager.
He's the reason you can watch this today. And whatever you see go wrong in the show,
that's me.
Address the complaints to Kyle Warren.
That's right.
12501 Old Columbia Pike. Yeah. All right, but
so
media manager,
and it's been a interesting path looking back. Went to Southern Adventist University 20-something years ago and started out doing like computer science and that kind of fun stuff. And then I saw animation. And I was like, oh man, that you're not even working if you're doing animation. That's wonderful.
Well, isn't that the dream, they say? To find a job where it doesn't feel like you're working.
Yeah. So from there, I felt a call to ministry while at Southern, but I kind of shrank back from that. I didn't want to stand up in front of everybody and preach all day.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Who am I to stand up and preach to people? And so being on the back end of things, I was like, I'll never have to do that. That'll be great. So graduate Southern, and there was a job at 3ABN. That's another television network for those that may not know.
Yeah. Almost as good as this Hope network that we're in the studio today. Almost as good, folks. Yeah. Almost.
So
we do love you at 3ABN.
Yeah,
sorry, Greg, Jill, everybody. Sorry.
Yeah. So spent quite a bit of time there. From there, I went and worked in video games.
Yep.
For a little while, and then once I came out of the video game industry, there's something about working in ministry where you're just, what you're doing makes a difference, and you get to see the difference in people's actual lives. And when you're making video games, I don't know, I didn't see the difference that I was making. I didn't like, and so it was important to me to be able to do something that had some kind of, in my opinion, eternal benefit to people. And so not long after getting back out of video games, I got to work with the fine people at the Voice of Prophecy.
Oh, fancy that.
Yes.
It's a fine organization that I know a little about.
Yeah. Little bit. So you and I started working in 2016. One of the really cool things, and I don't know how many of you at home may know this, but the Voice of Prophecy, when Shawn was there, one of the big things that we were doing was making products for local churches to be able to invite people from their communities to come into what we called them a bridge event, and bridge that gap between a full-scale evangelistic series and something small for people to come in, enjoy the content. It was really, I think, well done, and the model and the concept I really enjoyed, and I felt like that was a good 10 years.
Yeah.
That was something good to give 10 years
We did
to.
a decade there together.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's a lot of fun.
But we did some other things together since. We've both gone to the Adventist Review, the fine people who produce this program.
Yep.
And one of the things we did is because there was a lot of buzz in the church about what had happened in Papua New Guinea.
Right.
And when those meetings closed, we know AWR played a key role in sending a lot of preachers in. They had to hold 2,000 evangelistic meetings.
And that's a lot of the logistics, the people. I mean, that's a lot of work.
People have seen sort of that impact. But as an evangelist, I also wanted, what happened on the ground? Was it really a 250,000? When the meetings closed, a 250,000, and today growing is what I understand. I heard somebody mention, hey, man, we're going for 1 million in the next 5 years. It's still growing. but I wanted to meet the people on the ground because as an evangelist, I know that doesn't just happen in a couple of weeks.
Right, yes.
I'm a guest speaker and I go for decision and so on, but I also know that people on the ground, one at a time, were leading people to Christ and doing what they could, and the cumulative effort ended up in these colossal, and the numbers are real, by the way, they're real, colossal numbers. So you and I hopped on a plane, went to Papua New Guinea, which is
other side of the world.
Yeah, it's further away than Los Angeles. It's like how many hours in the plane? I think we were 40 hours each direction. I think
it was a lot.
Yeah, and of course we flew first class.
No, we were at the back of the plane.
We were at the very back of the bumpiest part of the plane.
Yeah.
I call it lavatory class.
That's
because
right.
it's a very short drive to the.
It was a short walk to the lavatory.
But we get there jet lagged, and they had so much to show us, that I think for 8 days in a row, we were up at 4 a.m. every day going to the next city.
Yeah.
It was exhausting, but I think happily exhausting. What were some of your impressions in Papua New Guinea when you started to meet the people and see the places?
So I think one of the big things that really impacted me was what local people were able to do in their individual churches. And, over here in the U.S., we work in our churches, those types of things. But when they're holding meetings and they're having 1,000 people, 2,000 people come out to their meetings, and it's just their local church is taking care of that, that's really impressive, especially coming from the background that you and I come from, where we have teams and teams of people that do this. All the work that was done on the ground was just super impressive. Everybody was 100% behind it. They were expecting God to do wonderful things for them.
One of the people we met down there, Kyle, was Pastor Miller Cuso, and he was a coordinator. Can you imagine coordinating something this large?
It's huge.
And we sat him down and we asked, hey, what's the secret sauce here? I mean, the secret sauce is God. It's always God. But how does this happen? How do you get to these kind of colossal numbers? And he replied with something we heard an awful lot of when we were down there: discovery Bible study groups.
Those are really neat, especially for just being able to bring people from off the street, read the Bible together, and you get decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's listen to Pastor Cuso right now as he describes what it was that happened.
I'm Pastor Miller Cuso, the Papua New Guinea Mission Sabbath School and Personal Ministries Director, and also the Chairman of Papua New Guinea for Christ. Discovery Bible Reading Group is a small group that has been formed out of the pandemic COVID-19 that took place. And then we had almost 6,000 small groups, and those small groups were into Bible discovery. And we had few questions on the Bible discovery bookmark, we call it. And then those bookmarks were introduced to every members, the newcomers, and everyone. And we held those in our hands, and then we would give them Bible study just on those questions, and maybe a chapter for the day, and then that's it. So everybody were memorizing it, and everybody were, filled with, learning new things about Jesus Christ.
So let's stop the tape for just half a second and pause and review. That effort helped lead to 2,000 evangelistic meetings. Not 2,000 people.
Right.
2,000 evangelistic meetings. And of course, that's where AWR played that important role, bringing in they don't have enough speakers, and they really did play a big role there. And Miller Cuso has to coordinate
every bit of it.
2,000. Let's let them keep talking.
Yes, I can say that we almost had 2,300 sites. Yes, it was too much. But then, we had the steering committee up at the union. And then that same committee was also established down at the local missions and the conference. And then that same committee went right down to the district levels and right down to the local church. So everybody spoke the same language. And we did the same thing when it was up at the union, right down, everybody were doing the same thing.
So, coordination is one thing, but, of course, there's the whole prayer initiative that they did for it as well. And so, Miller's going to talk about that as well.
It wasn't an accident. Prayer didn't happen incidentally. Right. That was also planned. Let's listen to him.
Yeah.
The success of Papua New Guinea for Christ, it was all about Papua New Guinea people praying. We had a lot of small groups, prayer groups were right across across the country. And I believe that the prayer made a huge impact in the country.
I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, over and over again, I hear they rang bells in cities and church members would come at 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
In the morning.
Just to pray for the saints. And I came home thinking, we've got so much to learn. I mean, how could our own churches mirror something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been head elder, virtually the pastor of a church.
Right.
What could we do in our churches? I mean, we're so used to, okay, prayer is 5 minutes, and we can't get anybody to prayer meeting, and they're coming out at 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it really showed the dedication of the people in wanting this amazing thing from God to happen there. And so, on this side of the pond, man, it would be difficult to get our church members out at 1 in the morning. But I have seen a lot of people doing more Zoom things, those types of stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot more community basis over there too.
There is.
Like they were much closer to their neighbors, their friends. It was really impressive.
Let's let Pastor Cuso describe the prayer, because really we're relating it third hand. But let's listen to him.
We had almost, the whole country, in the remote places, the rural places, to the urban cities, everywhere would come out at 3 o'clock in the nights. Especially, trying to make that God would, come in and intervene and, make Papua New Guinea for Christ a reality. So everybody were on their knees coming out. The bell would ring, or maybe a signal would come. Maybe people were blowing the trumpets in early hours of the morning and giving warning to the people, and people would say, hey, let's go for prayer. And the main prayer request was PNG for Christ, PNG for Christ.
So again and again we hear these stories, prayer all over the country, ringing bells at like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the church members coming to gather, and I'm thinking, I can't get people to come to prayer meeting on Wednesday night at 7.
At 7, and not 4 a.m.
Yeah, so, I mean, what can we learn? We often bemoan, look, evangelism's not working, It works if you do it the way God asked us to do it, and something happens in heaven, I think, when we're on our knees saying, please, God, intervene in this world. Somehow, I think, that moves the great controversy in God's direction. God doesn't interfere against people's will, but he can point to his people and say, they're asking me to do something.
Yeah. And expecting him to do something.
Yeah. This worked so well. This worked so well that I heard Pastor Cuso say they're anticipating maybe hitting 1 million baptisms by 2030. Who knows? Lord knows. Yeah. But that's how confident they are about it. 1 million. So then we asked him, if you remember, about children.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Listen to what he says about this.
Yes, children, the statistics have shown in Papua New Guinea, out of PNG for Christ, almost every baptisms were children involved. At the age of 10 and 12 and going up, there were children baptizing and giving their lives to Jesus. And I can say this, that prior to PNG for Christ, children were all involved. Even you talk about total member involvement. When the union was planning about total member involvement, going out, cleaning the streets, or maybe visiting the hospitals or the prisons or the schools, children were also involved with the big people. And when the union had TMI, right down to the local missions, right down to the districts, the local church, we had a synergy of same type of program sweeping over the country.
That was fantastic, Shawn. And you heard him mention TMI. And we actually went to the location that Pastor Ted Wilson preached at.
Right.
And you remember TMI, that was the Global Church Initiative for Total Member Involvement.
Right.
And Pastor Wilson was, heading that up.
Yeah, we saw his stage. Pastor Wilson, your stage is still set up there. The home you stayed in is still there. The field where the people gathered still there.
Yeah, beautiful gardens, man. There. Yeah.
Hats off, though, to an officer of the church who's incredibly busy, but who always made sure he never stopped soul winning. I always respect that.
Absolutely.
Leadership leads by example. We should all be doing this, and I really deeply appreciated that. Mm-hmm. But now we're talking about all these new people.
Yeah. And how do you keep them?
How do you keep them? Yeah. And I hear people complain all the time, well, we don't keep people. Well, if you plan, you do.
And you involve them.
Yeah, they had a plan for retention. Now let Pastor Cuso explain that.
Yes, retention is a huge program in our church today. But as we've got a lot of resources that came in, and we went around training the people about retention. and then we train them how to keep people. So there are a lot of retention programs that the church has done to prepare Papua New Guinea. And right after Papua New Guinea for Christ, I believe that we've got our resources that came in. We've got picture rolls that came in. We've got Bibles. We've got the Faith of Jesus. We've got Discovery Bible bookmarks. And we've got church leaders manual for the church leaders to see and, keep our members. So the retention is going on. It's an ongoing process, and it will always go on. So the country is, this quinquennium that we come in, we are planning that retention will be our focus.
I got to tell you, Kyle, as an evangelist, 30 years in public evangelism, I've seen some things, but I can't even imagine this kind of upward momentum.
Yeah.
I mean, by the close of the meetings, they're talking about 250,000 and still growing. They start at 400,000 members. They're well past 600. They're projecting 1 million. And I came home humbled. I mean, I think, okay, I've done this for 30 years. You learn skills. There is skill to evangelism. But the one thing I know is that the heart matters more than the talent.
Yeah,
in God's kingdom, your heart matters more than your talent every single time. I've watched people who don't know what they're doing baptize their friends hand over fist, and then people who think they know it all, I read some books on this, bomb out. And God can't use ego. He doesn't need our talent. He wants our heart. Yeah. And I came back thinking, the stuff we saw, hey, that truck over there, somebody gave that so that we could drive people to the meetings.
Yeah,
if somebody gave a truck, what's the average income here? Not much.
Not much.
They raised hundreds of thousands of U.S. dollars among church members to make sure this happened. And for them,
that's a big deal.
If Americans say we raised $200,000, let's say, and I can't remember what the total was, but it was substantial. If Americans say we raised $200,000, we go, oh, that's nice. What a great offering. For them to do it there, Sacrificial. People were giving things up, giving up schedules, feeding people. We've seen that in previous programs. They're gathering people for breakfast Sabbath morning outside their church by the... That
was one of the big things that really impacted me was like every time they got together to do these, the Bible readings, it was all around, the community atmosphere. It was focused around food, fellowship, and then they, were reading the Bible together, and as you're seeing all these people come together and do this, those are some of the things that I was thinking, man, this is what we should be doing more of on our side. More smaller groups. To get people together.
Human needs universal. We think, oh, that works elsewhere, but not here. It's like, but here we have this attitude. If we send out a handbill, hang out a shingle, the people will come and we'll baptize people, and then we wonder why it didn't go all that well.
Yeah.
This is relationship based.
They were building relationships first.
And I've always said, in my opinion, it is.
Yeah.
You have to preach the message. It's dishonest to baptize people into the Seventh-day Adventist Church without preaching the message because... well, it's just wrong. Yeah. The message matters. But I've always estimated that in the process of winning souls, the message, critical. Can't do it without it. Don't misquote what I'm saying. But I'd say 5% of soul winning happens there because honestly, that's a few weeks at the end of 3 years of effort.
Sure.
And 95% of it is based on relationships. Yeah. And on the plane home, I was thinking, you know what? I've always known who was going to get baptized in my meetings in the first 10 days. Why? I knew them by name. I'd been in their home. We were friends, and we had built trust and relationship. And to me, I saw people investing in their neighbors down there.
Exactly.
They're investing in people. We want to preach at people. That's important. Again, don't misquote me.
The message is important.
It's important.
The relationship.
But they're investing in people. Yeah. They're willing to give something up so that that neighbor has what they have in Jesus. And one place after another. One program we've aired already was with Philip. I mean, Philip runs a home for kids now, and he was he was in prison.
He was a criminal. I mean, he did bad things.
But now he invests his whole life in others. Yeah. And there it is. You watch Jesus. He spends as much time healing people as he does preaching. He spends as much time healing people. And what I saw there can be replicated just about anywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you want to baptize people, folks, love them. It's really that. And okay, not everybody's lovable. I've had to offer this prayer up. Lord, I'm not going to like everybody out there. There's 1,000 of them.
That's right.
And I'm not going to like them all unless you show me how.
Yeah, some people have to choose to love.
Yeah, I'm one of those. Kyle has chosen to love me and follow me elsewhere. But that's it, folks. This could happen in your town. This isn't just a PNG phenomenon. Here's a group of people that got it right. They're following counsel. They're doing it right. Now, the results were almost incomprehensible, overwhelming.
Yeah.
When they say they close those meetings out with around 250,000 and growing, that doesn't count the children.
Right. And before that, when we were, because the children are important, but I think one of the things that I heard when I was over there is they are anticipating, and I don't know if this is continuing to work, but 12,000 baptisms a month is what the anticipation is what they were anticipating when we were leaving.
That's amazing, and that's a year after the fact.
That was a year after.
That it's mind-blowing. It works. I've often said this. Look, this is a case study. I wish I could fly everybody down there to meet these folks.
Yeah.
It's a case study, and if you follow the counsel, it works every single time. And it's not rocket science. It's just hard work. It does require that you invest in people. And again, we were just saying, they don't even know how to handle the results.
Right, yeah. I remember when we were going, we get in, we're just dead tired getting off the plane. But as we get in the car, we're going out into the bush, and we pull up to these churches that are outdoors.
Yep.
And as we're getting there, it's like, hey, this is where the adults are meeting. But there's so many kids now that they had to create their own. What did they call them?
The lamb shelter.
Yeah, the lamb
They're called
shelter.
lamb shelters.
Yeah.
They don't have Sabbath school classrooms for all these kids. I mean, think about hundreds of thousands of adults showing up, and they bring how many kids?
4, 5, 6 kids.
Yeah. And
small families.
Each, not collectively.
Yeah.
The 100,000 brought 5. No, it's all of them, and they can't keep up. And we ran into an old friend down there, Jim Rennie from Operation Rescue. And he's a part of what Philip's doing, the Child Rescue Center, and we saw that in a previous program. Well, let's let Jim talk about that rescue center for just a moment. Let's meet Jim and listen to about what they're doing with the rescue center.
Hi, I'm Jim Rennie, and my position is President CEO of Operation Life. Operation Life has been operating for about 24 years in Papua New Guinea. Our key operation is a child rescue center where we have about 50 children. It's effectively an orphanage, but these children come from really troubled families. Not a lot of trafficking here, but there is certainly a lot of abuse, a lot of violence, a lot of obviously single parent families where they've been handed off to grandparents. So the Child Rescue Center is our key activity, but we also operate a couple of schools in very poor and remote areas, one in a slum area and also one in a very poor country village setting. And our third activity is feeding. We operate feeding and outreach programs.
So, I mean, I love this. They're investing in the people that nobody wants to invest in and seeing the results. But, and I got a heart for kids. I know you've got a heart for kids. You've got a few of your own.
I got a couple of my own.
Yeah, a couple?
Yeah, 3.
3, yeah. Anyway, I was going to say, when Adam and Eve were told to populate the world, it wasn't by themselves, Kyle.
That's right.
Yeah. They can't house all these kids, so Jim's involved in something else, trying to build up the field there. Yeah. Operation Rescue is a partner ministry with the South Pacific Division, and they're trying to build these lamb shelters, Sabbath school classrooms for all these thousands and thousands and thousands of kids, and right now they're trying to build 100 of them, Sabbath school classrooms. I mean, you think you don't have room in your church? The problem down there, they need 100,000. They need 100 more Sabbath school classrooms.
For the kids.
Yeah. Here's Jim on the lamb shelter.
Yes, so what we did is that we came up with what they call a lamb shelter. It's effectively a Sabbath school room. One thing that's not counted in the numbers for the outreach is the children. So when a family came in, they say 2 baptized, but there are probably 2 to 6 children in that family. And so when we went around the churches and said, what's your needs? They said, we haven't got a Sabbath school room. So these lamb shelters, concrete floor, they're 6 meters by 4 meters. They have a roof. They're open sides, but that's fine here. And so people can sponsor a lamb shelter, and we've launched that as an American fundraising project. At the moment, the complete cost, which includes material, delivery, assembly, finished product, is US $5,400. Well, if I ask how many are needed, I'd get huge numbers that I simply can't deliver. So we're going to do them in batches of 10, and we're just processing our first 10 now. The problem is in Papua New Guinea, the further you get out of built up areas, the transport costs and the angle of the land goes from flat to on a mountain. And so when we start building on mountains, it gets very expensive. So, you know, I'd like to probably build 100, but I'm going to do them 10 at a time, and I can only build what we have the funds for.
I know you have a heart for kids, you've got a family, but you also had a role in Discovery Mountain's Bible guides, the Expedition Bible guides.
Yeah.
I remember you showing those to people and tearing up about how many children would be coming to the Lord.
Yeah,
And
they were excited about it too.
Yeah.
And the NAD took those Bible study guides and they gave them to all the kids that went to summer camps.
are you kidding?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Well, and I should
it was
know.
good.
I know something about Discovery Mountain.
Right.
Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left, Kyle. On the flight home, you get home, you attend your church. You're in the middle of moving here to the New Jerusalem. What did you take back in your heart saying, here's what I might do differently now that I've seen this? I mean, it's exciting to see, you know, over there, but what did you take home with you thinking, you know what we ought to do?
I think, you know, the big thing that I took home was, it's fantastic to have lots of very talented evangelists come out and preach the messages, right? You know,
that made a huge difference too.
It makes a difference, and the message matters. But what the local people did, what the local churches did over years, you know, they started years before these culmination, reaping meetings that they had. That consistent, interaction with their community. Because the evangelist comes in, you can baptize 12,000 people, whatever.
Right.
Where are they going to go after that? They've got to have a church and a church family. And these guys were building that long before the evangelists got off the plane, right?
Yeah.
You know, all of the Bible studies, the eating, the food, you know, all these things that they were doing together, the events that they had, you know, that's what makes people trust you. You know, they know that you've got a heart for them and a heart for service, a heart for their family. And you know, I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I took away was just the impact that the local church can have.
Right.
You know.
And they're not slowing down. I mean,
no, they keep going.
Now it's Fiji and the Solomon Islands. Next year, New Zealand. It's like, it's a good thing that's happening there.
Yeah,
and
they're doing a great job.
And it could happen where you live too. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks for joining us. I mean, we could go for hours on PNG, but what I need you to do right now is click that subscribe button underneath the window that you're watching. Yeah, you're on YouTube. I know you are. I know where you live. Push this subscribe button. It's free. There's no reason not to. Join us next time, same place, same time, for Unscripted, brought to you by the good people from the Adventist Review.
Thanks for joining us today for Unscripted. We invite you to check out all the other offerings from the Adventist Review online 24 hours a day at adventistreview.org.